Howdy, this is Eric Franklin with your Garrison Public Affairs Office, and on this week's episode, the 1st Cavalry Division stops by and tells us about their long history and the Buffalo Soldiers that helped win the West. On this week's episode of the Great Big Podcast.
Hey everyone, this is one of your co-hosts, Specialist Garrett Dacko with 11th Corps Signal Brigade. And I know this month here at Fort Hood, at least, we started off the year with a lot of training, just kind of kicking it off. But one thing we do want to kind of circle back and focus on is the fact that February is Black History Month. And we, especially here at Fort Hood, have a unit with a very large history. And to kind of speak on behalf of that and speak on the future as well, we have with us Captain Stanky from 1st Cavalry Division.
Hi, I'm Captain Tyler Stanky, former commander of Cowboy Troop 10th Cav, the latest incarnation of the Buffalo Soldiers here on Fort Hood.
So tell me a little bit. You said the latest incarnation. So tell me a little bit. We were talking before we started that you said you stood it up again. Tell us a little bit about that.
So C Troop Cowboy 10th Cav recently just stood up as a separate armored cavalry troop, replacing the Brigade's Reconnaissance Squadron as the 1st Cavalry Division transitions to a penetration division in our new MTO. So what that means is the 3 brigades in 1st Cav will each have a separate armored cavalry troop rather than a full squadron. And that separate armored cavalry troop is Cowboy 10th Cav for Iron Horse 1st Brigade. It's Demon Deco 5th Cav for Blackjack. And in the next couple months, Echo Troop 5th Cav will stand up in Grey Wolf 3rd Brigade.
Okay. And so, 1st Cav has a long history when it comes to the American West. But just your unit, just tell us a little bit about the history of your unit.
So it's kind of funny you say the American West. So everything 10th Cav is focused on the West. So the 10th Cav was founded in the mid-1800s for constabulary work and westward expansion. The Buffalo Soldiers stood up, and they're formed at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. And then they did a lot of the security for railroad work, telegram, and settlers moving towards the west. And then they started their focus with the Native American Wars, and then moved south for wars with Mexico, and participated in the Spanish-American War in both the Philippines and Cuba.
So that just seems like a lot of history, a lot of history, and a lot of great soldiers that have been in that unit. How many of those soldiers over the past, what is that, 1800? That's 200 years. I'm old, but so how many of those soldiers have won a war or been bestowed the nation's highest honor?
So throughout the entirety of the 10th Cav, there's 18 troopers who have won the Medal of Honor.
Wow.
Since it stood up. 8 Hotel Troop and India Troop, which no longer exist, actually have the highest counts. I don't have the exact numbers, but they have the most out of the 10th Cav.
Okay. And so for you, being able to stand a distinguished unit back up, because, a lot of people don't realize that sometimes a unit never really goes away. We just kind of like put it on a shelf sometimes for a little while. It's like, hey, you're going to hang out here maybe for 10 years, maybe for 50 years, but you kind of go away and then it comes back. Why? How does it make you feel to know that you were able to stand up restand back up a unit that had such a long history?
So it's actually a really interesting thing, right? So Cowboy Troop was activated the first time. When I say the first time, I mean the first time this century, in September 2001, and served as a Brigade Reconnaissance Troop, similar to the role that Cowboy serves now.
Yeah.
And they deployed almost immediately with 1st Cav to Iraq, and they fought in Baghdad and then in Sadr City. When they came back, they deactivated and reflagged as C Troop of 17 Cav. So they didn't really go away. They just changed names.
Yeah.
And then when the Army decided to change to have a penetration division with a special mission, they decided with the Division Cavalry Squadron, which would be 17 taken from Iron Horse Brigade, and then they would stand up Cowboy in Iron Horse, which meant Cowboy Troop 10th Cav was born again. And then the whole stand-up process was really interesting. We had a lot of the former commanders and platoon leaders reach out. We were trying to get a couple of them to come to the activation ceremony. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it. However, we did get General Retired Ted Martin sent a letter as a former 10th Cav squadron commander.
Yeah.
And he's actually been very involved with the troop as we've stood up. I don't know if any of y'all follow his Twitter, but he has one of these cowboy stickers on the back of his car.
So now when we get out, I'm going to go follow him. And yeah,
Absolutely.
I follow everyone on Twitter pretty much. So it's like I'm easy going. So I know that I know we've spoke about just the history of the 10th Cav and what they've meant to not only to the American West and then to the 1st Cavalry Division. What as a whole, what is your take, or how does it feel knowing that where that unit came from and how important it is in during Black History Month?
So I think it's kind of a misperspective that almost the entirety of the American West is owed to the Buffalo Soldiers and the Black Troopers of the 10th Cav. Mm-hmm. Because if it weren't for the 9th and 10th Cav, which are both the Buffalo Soldier regiments, and then the 24th and 25th Infantry, which are also Buffalo Soldiers, just infantrymen.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have had the westward expansion we did. So literally half of the country is owed to the work of Black troopers and Black soldiers at really a rough time in our nation's history.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask too, with that very influential history as well, looking forward, and especially when it was the unit was reactivated, what kind of importance does that hold today?
So it puts the 10th Cav and the Buffalo Soldiers back at the forefront of the Army. So we were cutting edge when we were expanding west, and right now the Buffalo Soldiers are on the cutting edge of the Army's redesign and transition to large-scale ground combat operations. And the cutting edge of reconnaissance and security today, in that 10th Cav has the Army's first separate armored cavalry troop to their name. So it's a pretty big deal, and it's humbling to know that I get to be a part of that legacy and this big part of the 10th Cav's new legacy. We actually did a lot when we were designing a bunch of the things to make sure we remembered that history. So we have our mascot. We call him Cletus.
I know. I can see the sticker right here. For those listening,
yes,
he has a sticker.
So Cletus was designed by Sergeant First Class Huff, who was a Buffalo Soldier, and he's a fine African-American mortarman. Who's Cowboys Mortar Platoon Sergeant, to reflect some of that history. So he wears a uniform similar to what the Buffalo Soldiers wore when they were expanding west. He's African-American, and he's wearing his Stetson spurs and his 10th Cav logos. And then on our company logo, we've taken the 1st Cavalry Division patch and we've replaced the horse with a buffalo head. Mm-hmm. And then at the bottom, we put the 10 for the 10th Cavalry Regiment. Cowboy Troop is really proud of that history, and it's something we're trying very hard to keep around and make sure we hold our legacy, because that's one of the most important things we can do as the latest incarnation of the Buffalo Soldiers.
Right. All right.
And you say making the legacy, and I think building off of the legacy that came before you is going to make your future great. And just sitting here listening to you and talking about it, I remember, I think because I've saw how the war started, I was in the Army then. I know both of you guys were probably not even born.
I was in diapers.
Yeah, you was in diapers. I know most people were not born, but I was in the Army. So I saw it, and I saw the transition, and I see where the transition is going. So I believe it's important that we're able to take from the past and take from what's the past for us and build for the future. And I think that from what I've read and for the penetration division, I think it's going to be a great thing. I think, I hate to say it, but it's going to be a great thing. I wouldn't want to be on the other end of it. I can say that much.
Not at all.
So I'm glad I'm on this end of it. So just real quick. So, sir, we talked about the unit that you're in. We talked about the 10th Cav. Tell us about you. Where are you originally from before we get out of here?
So I'm from a very small town in Connecticut called Derby. It's an old industrial revolution town. It's on the New York side of Connecticut. As we all know, Connecticut is divided between the Massachusetts Boston fans and the New York Yankees fans.
And where do you reside?
I'm on the New York side. Go Yankees. I went to high school. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I played rugby. I was competing for scholarships and to attend the military academy. Didn't quite make the military academy, but they came back and said, we can give you a 4-year scholarship. Where would you like to go? And I said, well, I was kind of banking on that West Point thing.
Staying in New York.
But I ended up getting accepted to Georgetown University, and then I went there, commissioned as an armor officer, first choice, and got selected to come to Fort Hood, also my first choice. So as a lieutenant, I came to 6-9 Cav, which is another Buffalo Soldier squadron, 3rd Brigade's current reconnaissance squadron. I was a scout platoon leader in Apache Troop, and then headquarters and headquarters troop XO in 6-9. While I was there, well, actually, it's kind of funny. I came to Fort Hood as a lieutenant, and 3 weeks later, I deployed to Kuwait. Spent 5 months there and a couple other places while on rotation.
Yeah.
Came back 14 months later. I deployed to the Republic of Korea. Spent 9 months in Camp Hovey. Oh, Camp Hovey's a great place.
No, I'll tell you a story about Camp Hovey when we get off the mic.
Oh, man.
I'm
interested to hear that.
So came back from Korea, took over the S6 job for about 3 months as I was waiting to go to Triple C. Went to MCCC, went to the Cav Leaders course, got the great news that they were sending me back to Fort Hood. Came to Iron Horse Brigade, served on brigade staff as the modernization and maneuver planner for a year. First Cav decided that Iron Horse was going to stand up the first armored cavalry troop, and I was selected to activate and lead it. I commanded it for 8 months, in which we took in equipment and personnel to build, and this is another interesting part about the separate armored cavalry troops. They're the largest company-sized formations in the Army. So there's 2 Bradley Scout platoons, which are 6 Bradleys each and 36 soldiers. There's 2 tank platoons, which is 4 tanks and 16 tankers. There's 1 light scout platoon, which is 6 JLTVs and 24 troopers. There's a Seaburn reconnaissance platoon.
That's a lot of property.
Yeah, that is a big property book.
It's 67 pages.
Oh, wow.
And then there's its own support platoon, which consists of a Bradley field maintenance team, a tank field maintenance team, and a wheeled and generator field maintenance team, as well as a distribution section.
Wow.
And all of that is led by a lieutenant and a sergeant first class.
Wow.
And we haven't even talked about the headquarters yet. So the headquarters has a UAS section, which is 2 troopers, and currently it's Ravens, but as the Army continues its modernization, we're templated to get the medium range UAS system. It's got its own mortar section. That
is a lot.
Oh, it's big.
I had no idea that even existed. So the fact that you're, telling me today, and I'm over here in awe. It's just, I've been in the Army for 7 years now, so definitely enlightening today, and I want to say thank you. I've been a fly on the wall so far.
Captain Beaver, since you didn't say your name until the very end.
Oh, my apologies. My apologies. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Captain Beavers. Right now, I want to say thank you for the entire group here, and continue on to, push that legacy forward. I think that, me growing up hearing Buffalo Soldier, all I knew was Bob Marley. Buffalo Soldier.
Yeah.
So I was today years old when I learned that there was so much more to it, and I think that you're right on path to continue on to greatness in the Army. So I want to say thank you. I can speak for the rest of us in here as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're welcome. We all owe it. Well, at least those of us that are lucky enough to have been a part of it, to the legacy that was built by those original Buffalo Soldiers. It wasn't easy for them, and it never got easier for them with everything they were tasked to do, and then they had to earn every bit of respect that they got, and they didn't really get it until the nation started waking up to what it actually meant to be an African American in this country and what it meant to serve as an African American in our Army. So it's incredible when you think about what those troopers did and what they endured to build the legacy that we get to take on today.
So did you have anything before we got out of here?
No, so I actually have these stickers for you and for the podcast. If y'all need more, let me know. I've got large stacks at home. And I wanted to say thank you for having me, and thank you for helping me tell the story of Cowboy Troop and the 10th Cavalry Regiment.
All right, thank you. And now, real quick, I think everyone knows when they think about a unit and they. For me, when I heard that how big that unit was, the just amount of equipment, and I'm the hand receipt, 67 pages, that just made my heart hurt because I know how difficult it is to go through 67 pages of anything. It's like I don't. Is it here? But if I don't say that it's here, then it's like it's a problem when I go to look for it. But I think it's an amazing thing. Now I want to know more. Now I want to actually get down there and I want to see that because I think it's an awesome thing, and I love the fact that we're look at the history. We know our history. We learn from our history, and we're taking that history and we're making our future even brighter than what we could even imagine. So again, thank you, and thank you for being on the podcast.
If you've got problems and feel like you just can't get answers, there's a place for you to turn. The Inspector General's Hotline. They take your issues seriously. If you're at the end of your rope and need someone to reach out to, grab a pen and take down this number, 254-287-7209. That's 254-287-7209. The Fort Hood office of the Inspector General. They inspect generals, so you don't have to.
Well, everyone likes to get up and leave as soon as we get done doing the interviews. They say that's the fun part, and then they leave us. But that's okay, because we have one of my favorite people in the office. Ooh. I mean, everyone's favorite in the office. I like everybody. But do you mind introducing yourself? Because some people may not remember you.
I know. I'm back. It's weird. This is Samantha Harms with the Garrison Public Affairs Office. Feels strange to be back.
Well, where have you been? What's been going on?
So I took on the role of editor for the Fort Hood Sentinel, standing watch since 1942. So I've been busy with that. So I just haven't had time to come back, other than, of course, Book and Movie of the Month. That is still holding out strong. But yeah, it's weird to be sitting here. It feels strange.
Because I'm actually in Sam's chair
yeah,
right
you're
now,
sitting in my seat.
and it is extremely stressful. I don't think people realize how much what goes into making a podcast, but just know it's not as easy as they make it seem on TV.
That's for sure. Yes. Or those like other people that you listen to and you're like, wow, this is so flawless and sounds so perfect all the time.
No.
Nah.
It is nerve wracking. So outside of that, it's February. It's the end of February now.
I know.
It seems like just a couple of weeks ago we were talking about, it's the new year.
Yeah.
Now it's March.
You're going to have to do a, we're already getting to the point of like, we need to check in on how people are doing with their yearly intentions.
Yes.
How's it going, So far, not so good.
Yeah, so far, not so good.
We've got time, though. We've got time. But I did want to say, that we haven't done sports with Sam in a while, obviously. But I obviously still listen to the podcast every week.
Yes.
And all I wanted to do when I was listening, yeah, you know what I'm going to bring up. All I've been wanting to do is come on here and just like scold without scolding about who the Super Bowl performance was going to be by, because it has been announced. It was announced 4 months. 4 months that it was going to be Rihanna, and for 2 weeks everybody's like,
right over our head.
Who knows? So to all the people who have been listening and maybe had the same frustrations, don't worry, I called them out on it.
Yes.
Off mic.
Yes, you did.
I can't resist my opportunity.
But you know what? That's all good.
Yeah,
we can't even be faulted at that. I don't know why it went over my head this year. So here at the Great Place, we always have stuff going on, and I know there's so much stuff going on because it's starting to warm up. I think this week it's been in the 80s almost every day this week.
So beautiful. My
plant's dying, but I think that's because it's neglect and I'm not talking to him. So, but the sun is coming out, so hopefully he'll come back. But what are some of the things that we have that you can think of that we have coming up over the next few months? Yeah,
so if you're listening in real time, as this episode is coming out, on Saturday, which is February 25th, is Lemonade Day. It's the kickoff for registration here for Fort Hood. The USO was just on the podcast recently, so I know they have some great things coming up. They've got family game nights coming up. They have their HEB kitchen where they have like folks from HEB come in and show soldiers how to actually prepare a meal, which, I mean, honestly, who doesn't love the opportunity to learn how to cook something new? Because I know I always need that.
See, I think I'm gonna have to go check that. I think that's coming up here pretty soon too.
I think so, yeah.
I'm gonna have to go check that out. Maybe do a story on it, and definitely gonna get some pictures and some pointers on how to cook.
Yes, and
can't cook.
For all of that, you can of course follow them on Facebook.
Yes,
at USO Fort Hood. They're gonna be able to give you all the up-to-date things on what's going on. And spring break is already quickly approaching.
It's crazy
for people who have kids, or people who want to know when to avoid traveling.
Yes, it is. I'm on both sides. I don't want to travel, but I have kids, and they're both going to be out almost at the same time. So it's going to be fun times.
Yeah, that'll be really fun for you and your household.
Yes, it will be. I think that's pretty much all we have. We kept it quick this week, and just want to say we enjoy you coming back to the show. Hopefully we can get you back in here every now and then, maybe more than once a month for the book and movie of the month with Blair.
Yes, we love our book and movies of the month, and yeah, definitely we'll have to bring myself back on, and of course we'll have to start bringing Blair back on, because typically this is our traveling soldier episode. But Blair's been busy with the paper as well, so we're gonna have to bring us both back for more regular appearances.
Yes, we do. We have to get you guys back on, and hopefully we can get our other co-hosts to stop. They always seem, as soon as they get done, it's like, I gotta go take this phone call, and then they never come back.
I know. Maybe that's saying something.
Maybe it's me. Maybe it's us.
Maybe.
I
don't know. But they seem to have fun during the interview, and that's the most important part. So
that's the best part, is that they have fun while we're here.
New. Yeah, can't beat that.
Cannot. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed the episode, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
This podcast is a U.S. Army Garrison Fort Hood and Fort Hood Public Affairs production. The show's theme music is written and produced by Delicious All-Stars. All our music is obtained through Filter by Songtrader. Have a question or want to share some insights with us? Email us at forthoodpao@gmail.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at USAG Fort Hood. And as always, be sure to leave a review and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.